Hello, good afternoon, everybody. This is Sam Burkett. I am breaking down another episode of college football. And in this episode, I am going to break down who I think are going to be the worst teams in each Power 4 conference. Now, I think there's going to be some possibilities in each conference, but I'm going to break down who I think will be the absolute worst. This breaks down like which team has the tougher schedule, which teams don't they play, and among other factors. Before I get to it, I am going to here is a list of possibilities who I think will be the worst teams in each Power 4. And then from there, I'm going to break down possibly, and then in my next video, I'm going to break down who I think will win each Power 4 conference. And now, without further ado, I'm going to break down the Power 4. And in the ACC, I have two potential possibilities who I think will be the worst teams in the ACC in 2026. I think the two possibilities will be Boston College and Stanford. Now, the teams don't play each other. I am going to pull up Boston College's schedule first, and then I'm going to pull up Stanford's schedule. I'm going to compare the two and then see where to go from there. So, Boston College, they start off the season by going on the road to Cincinnati, and then they play Rutgers. Those are two winnable games, but Boston College went 2-10 last year. Could they potentially split these two? I'm not sure. And then they have Maine on the schedule. And then I'm going to look at their ACC schedule. They don't play Louisville this year. And I think then they don't play Virginia, which I like that too. But they do play SMU. They do play Miami. And they go to Notre Dame. Now, I know Notre Dame's not in the ACC, but Notre Dame has a contract with the ACC. I think those are 4 guaranteed losses that I see, or 3 guaranteed losses to SMU, Notre Dame, and Miami. Virginia Tech, I think Virginia Tech likely beats you. I think Virginia Tech's going to be much improved this year under James Franklin. Pitt, I think Pitt will probably beat you too. And so will Georgia Tech. I think Duke, they're probably going to beat you. Manny Diaz has done a really good job. Florida State, well, I'm not high on Florida State this year. I do think that Florida State will beat you too. Could they potentially beat Syracuse? Syracuse wasn't very good last year. I think they went 3-9. And then you're not beating Miami. So I think I could see them potentially going 2-10. That's what I have Boston College at right now. I have Boston College going 2-10 this season. And then before I go into Stanford, I'm going to look at Syracuse's schedule. Just because they weren't very good last year. They should be able to beat New Hampshire. Cal, I'm really high on Cal this year. I think Cal's I really like who they hired with Tosh Rapoy. I will give Syracuse the win, though, just because of benefit of the doubt. I don't think you're beating Pittsburgh. Connecticut, they're rebuilding. I'm going to give you the win there. You're not beating Virginia more than likely. You're not beating Louisville. You're 3-3. Could they potentially beat North Carolina? That's a 50-50 game. I'm going to say North Carolina beats you. You're 3-4. SMU, they'll probably beat you. So you're 3-5. Clemson, well, Clemson don't think it's been great. I think they'll probably beat you. I got Syracuse going 3-9. So right now, I have Boston College going 2-10 and Syracuse going 3-9. Not just two absolute dumpster fires in the ACC. And then now I'm going to pull up Stanford's schedule. They open up the season this Saturday by going up against Hawaii. Hawaii is going to be scary good. And I like their quarterback that they got coming in. And I think Hawaii beats you. Miami, they have to go basically travel 3 time zones to play you guys. I will give Miami the win on this one, however. You're not being Duke. You're not playing Georgia Tech. And I'm looking at Stanford's schedule. They have to play Louisville. They have to play SMU, Notre Dame, and Miami. They have to play them all. Stanford's just got a very brutal schedule ahead of them. And then they got Wake Forest, 50-50 possibly. But I think they'll probably beat you. Notre Dame will definitely beat you. NC State, they'll beat you. Virginia Tech, I think they're going to be much improved under James Franklin. I think Cal's going to beat you this year too. I have Stanford going 1-11 this year. I think Stanford is going to be the worst team in the ACC in 2026. And now I'm going to look at the Big Ten for a minute. In the Big Ten, I see 2 possibilities who I think could be the worst team in the Big Ten. I think Purdue. Now, Purdue has been awful for the last few years. They've been probably one of the worst teams in the Power 4 for like the last 3 years now. And then they have Northwestern. I'm going to look at Northwestern's football schedule real quick. They play Ohio State. They play Oregon. They play Indiana. Oh my God, that is a brutal schedule for Northwestern. They open up the season by playing South Dakota State. I think you'll likely win that game. Then you play Colorado. I think Colorado is going to be awful this year in football. I'll talk about them later on in this video. I think you'll likely win that game too. And then you lose to Indiana. Then you lose to Penn State. They'll beat you. Ball State, I'm going to give you the win there. Pat Fitzgerald, I like what he's doing with Michigan State in his first year. I think they beat you. Rutgers, I'm going to give you the win over Rutgers, so you're 4-3. Then you go to Oregon, you're 4-4. Iowa's probably going to beat you. I think Minnesota's more than likely going to beat you. Illinois, they'll probably beat you too. I have Northwestern going 4-8 and only winning 1 game in the Big Ten. Now I'm going to look at Purdue's football schedule. I don't see Ohio. They don't play Ohio State this year. They don't play Southern Cal. They do have Washington this year, and I think Washington's going to be a really good football team this year. I was going to say, they don't play Ohio State. They don't play Southern Cal. They don't play Michigan. I like that part so far. They don't have Oregon. They do have Indiana, though, at the end of the year, but they play Indiana every year. UCLA will probably beat you. I'm going to give you a win over Wake Forest just for the benefit of the doubt. Notre Dame will beat you. I think Illinois will probably beat you. Minnesota will probably beat you. Washington, they'll probably beat you. You have no chance in that one. And you don't have a chance against Penn State either. Could you potentially beat Maryland or Wisconsin? I'm going to say you, at very worst, split those two. I'm not very high on either one. I have Purdue going 4-8. I have them winning 2 Big Ten games. I think Purdue is going to be a worse team in the Big Ten. They'll have a better record than Northwestern. However, I do think Northwestern will be the worst team in the Big Ten. Now, I'm going to look at the Big 12. I think there are 2 possibilities with who I think will be the worst team in the Big 12. I think it's going to be Iowa State or Colorado. But before I go into that, I'm going to look at other possibilities. First, I'm going to look at West Virginia. You open up the season by playing Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina is going to be a very scary team in the Sun Belt. If you win that game, that is a big if. I will give West Virginia benefit. I think you win that game. Then I think you'll beat UT Martin. I don't think you're beating Virginia. Oklahoma State, I think, is going to be much improved this year. I'm going to say you beat Oklahoma State, though, just because it's on the road. I think you lose to Iowa State. I'm not very high on either one, but I will give Iowa State the benefit of the doubt since it's at home. I think Arizona will beat you. I'm going to say you beat Cincinnati, so you're 4-3. Texas, TCU, and Texas Tech are going to beat you, so you're 4-5. Kansas, I think you win that. I have West Virginia going 5-7 in 2026. Now I'm going to look at Oklahoma State's schedule. A lot of people are really high on Tulsa as potentially a scary team in the Big 12. I'm going to say you beat Tulsa, but it's going to be interesting. No way you're beating Oregon. I think you beat Murray State. I think you lose to West Virginia. I'm going to say you beat Central Florida, so you're 3-2. You lose to Houston, you're 3-3. I think you're going to beat Colorado. Like I said, I think Colorado's going to be awful this year. You lose to Iowa State, you lose to Kansas State. I have Oklahoma State going 5-7 in 2026. Like I said, I think they're going to be much improved, but I do not like some of their games that they play with Houston. I don't like how they have to go to Kansas State, and I don't like how they have to play Texas Tech. So that's where they are. Like I said, I think Oklahoma State's going to be much improved, though, in 2026. And I don't think Oklahoma State's going to be the worst team in the Big 12. Now I'm going to go to Kansas. I'm going to look at their schedule. I think Missouri will probably beat you. I think you beat Long Island. I think Arizona State will beat you. Then you play Middle Tennessee. I'm going to give you the win in that. I think you lose to Utah. I think you lose to Kansas State. I think you beat Baylor. I think you lose to TCU. I think you beat Central Florida. I have Kansas going 4-8. And now let's go to Iowa State real quick. Because I actually looked at Iowa State's football schedule. And I actually think Iowa State's going to win some games this year. Colorado, though, I don't think they're going to be anywhere close to making it to a bowl game. I think you beat Southeast Missouri. I think you beat Bowling Green, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Cincinnati. Actually, if Iowa State, I think they got enough wins on the schedule to make it to a bowl game. Right there. So I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the Big 12. So that narrows it down. So I'm going to look at Cincinnati. I think you beat Boston College. I said it. Or I think Boston College is going to be awful this year. I think you beat Western Carolina. I think you beat Miami of Ohio, just for the benefit of the doubt. But I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if you lost this game too. I think you lose to Kansas State. I think Arizona and West Virginia beat you. Holy jeez. You play Texas Tech, Utah, and Houston 3 weeks in a row. That is brutal. That is absolutely brutal. I think like I said, I think the worst teams in Big 12 are either going to be Cincinnati and Colorado. That's going to be my earlier in this episode, I thought Iowa State would be, or Kansas, or West Virginia. I don't think any of them are going to be the worst. Let me break down Cincinnati real quick, or Central Florida real quick. I think you beat Bethune. I think you beat Georgia State. I think Pitt will beat you. I think you lose to TCU. I think you lose to Houston, 2-5. I think you beat Baylor, 4-8. So I think it's going to be either Cincinnati or Colorado being the worst team. Cincinnati has a brutal schedule. Like I said, they had to play Texas Tech, Utah, and Houston 3 weeks in a row. Now let's go to Colorado's schedule. You open up the season by playing Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech beat you last year in Boulder in what was one of the weirdest games in college football in 2025. I think they beat you again. You better find a way to beat Weber State, because there are not many winnable games after you play Weber State, and I think you will. I already mentioned earlier, I think you're losing to Northwestern. Losing to Northwestern, you basically have to travel halfway across the country. It's just going to be a struggle for Colorado. Like I said, there's one pattern that I see on Colorado's football schedule. That is that their easier games are on the road, but their harder games are at home. I think you lose to Northwestern. I think Baylor beats you. I'm not high on Baylor, but I think they will beat you. Texas Tech, you're losing to Texas Tech. You're losing to Utah. You're going to lose to Oklahoma State. You're not beating Kansas State. I think Colorado goes... You're not beating Arizona State. You're losing to Houston. I think Colorado will go 2-10. This is going to be... This is an absolutely brutal football schedule. I think Colorado goes 2-10. 3-9 possibly. I think you could potentially either beat Kansas State or Cincinnati, but like I said, I am not high on all the Colorado Buffaloes. I got Colorado going 2-10. I think Colorado is going to be the worst team in the Big 12 in 2026. Now let's go to the SEC. In the SEC, I see two potentials of being the worst team in the SEC. I think it's going to be Mississippi State or Arkansas. It's going to be one of those two. Let me break down their schedules real quick. Let me look. Mississippi State. Mississippi State's only like one SEC game in the last 2 years. That's brutal. They do not play Arkansas this year, which you can't go on the judge with that. You should open up the year by beating Louisiana Monroe. I think South Carolina beat you. I think Minnesota beat you. Missouri will likely beat you. I think Alabama will beat you. You're losing to LSU. You're losing to Oklahoma. Oh my God, this is brutal. They play Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma, and Texas within a 4-week stretch. That is brutal. Actually, I'm going to say you beat Missouri just to get some confidence going. But like I said, the 4-game stretch is brutal. And then I think Vanderbilt will beat you. I think Auburn beats you. I have Mississippi State going 3-9. And I think they win one SEC game, and that will come against Missouri. Just to get some confidence going. And let me look at Arkansas's football schedule real quick. Arkansas, they have to play North Alabama. I'm going to say you win that game. Then you go to Utah and you host Georgia. That is brutal. No way you're winning both of those games. And then you play Tulsa. Like I said, Tulsa, I've heard a lot of good things about Tulsa. You might be lucky if you win that game. That is a big, big if. I'm going to say you win this game over Tulsa. A&M will beat you. Tennessee will beat you. Vanderbilt will beat you. Missouri will beat you. Auburn will beat you. I'm going to say you beat South Carolina just for the hell of it. And you're losing to Texas and LSU. I think Arkansas is going to be the worst team in the SEC. Just based on their schedule and just who they got as their coach. Actually, I hope Arkansas goes 0-12. But I don't think they will just because they play North Alabama. But it's potential that they could lose to Tulsa or they could lose to South Carolina too. That would make me happy if Arkansas went 0-12. I hate the coach that they hired with Ryan Silverfield. I think Ryan Silverfield just runs his mouth, and he's not really a good football coach. And then Kentucky, I think Kentucky's not going to have a good year this year. I think they'll go 3-9, but I do see some potential of wins where they can get out of the crack. I think they could beat Vanderbilt. They could beat Florida. I don't think Kentucky's going to be the worst team in the SEC. Like I said, I think Arkansas is going to be the worst team in the SEC. So here you go. The 4 worst Power 4 teams in 2026, I think are going to be Stanford, Colorado, Northwestern, and Arkansas. Who else do you think is going to be a really bad Power 4 team? Let me know in the comments down below. And later this week, I'll be breaking down who I think will win each Power 4 conference. And who I think will be in the playoff. Or, I'm not going to do a 12-team playoff prediction. But I will give you, my teams of who I think has the best shot of making it to the playoff. Otherwise, have a good day, everybody.